So, what if you never meet someone? What if you're alone forever? Welcome to Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan. I am so happy you're here. Those thoughts, what if, crossed my mind so many times during this process of just changing my life and leaving the relationship I knew forever. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. And throwing in a little bit of music because it's what I'm obsessed with. There is a Dylan Gossett line, if you're familiar at all, he's amazing. And there's a lyric that says, "Love is tough, but loneliness is twice as hard." And I have just felt that so hard. And I feel like most of us can relate to that when a relationship ends. There's this fearfulness of what is it going to look like on the other side? Am I ever going to meet someone? All of those thoughts and feelings run through your mind. Whether you're the leaver or the one being left, it's like, how do I find someone again? Am I ever going to feel this way? Just all of those emotions come over us. And I think even more so, the older we get, society kind of puts this pressure on us to be in relationships, be married, find the person we love, grow old with someone. There's just a lot of external noise. And when I'm now in this place, let's think it's been a little over a year since my divorce has been finalized. And although during that time, I uprooted my life and moved to a new place, was buying a house and had a chaotic time with a lot going on with my career, and then left that career. I've had a lot of changes in that year, but for me, I kind of completely understand not prioritize dating or finding my next love of my life, forever person, whatever you want to call it. But I have to be honest about how that weighs on my mind because the comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. But sometimes you can't help but see how other people's experiences were so different than yours. So I was very aware of a few people in my circle or close enough to my circle, at least on social media. It doesn't give you a good idea, but like I had a few people, women that I knew that were getting a divorce around the same time that I was. And all three of them that come to mind. So these three women, one that I went to school with, one that was a friend of mine, and then one was like a friend of mine. They're all with someone else now already and in relationships. So I love that for them. So happy. And it's been like hard launched on the social. So it's like real. And as I'm watching that be their truth and all the best, absolutely love that for them and happy for them. But my mind goes like, Heather, what about you? Now it's been over a year and you're like just still doing you. And I know that there's nothing wrong with that. And I know that I'm trying to put myself in the best place. But there's moments where I'm like, well, I don't know why I haven't prioritized that or what I'm still afraid of, or if it's a fear thing, or it's just the adjustment of feeling super close with someone again is scary and knowing that it could end. I can't really put my finger on what it is, but it's been interesting to know that I'm taking it a lot slower. And the thing that I'll say that's been such an eye-opening experience for me and my friends listening or people from Utah, where I grew up, pretty much everyone that was my friend that I knew was married before they were 30. Like all of my friends were pretty much married. Like I didn't really have any of my friends that hadn't experienced marriage. So it's all I was ever around, like people in relationships because I was in a relationship and then people that were married because I was married. And so now living out here in Nashville and meeting new friends with new experiences, it's been so different. Utah is Utah's just a different place. I feel like that pressure to be married younger is so much stronger than what I'm realizing is out here. So so now that I'm here in Nashville with a lot of transplants from other places, I'm in this whole new space and this whole new experience meeting women that are my age or older that have never been married. And I'm like, it's so different. And it's such a different experience to have these friendships with people that not only don't understand marriage, but don't understand divorce and that have been single for a long amount of time. Like it's eye opening to think about being single that long of your life. Like it's a totally different world for me. I am learning so much. And it's been such an amazing experience, but it's hard for me because the majority of me having pretty much all single friends in Nashville, with the exception of a few, I have like one married friend and one other friend that lives there with her boyfriend. But the majority of the rest of my friends out here in Nashville are all single. And a majority of those single women are ready and looking for a relationship and a husband. And I'm in such a different space because I don't know if the idea I think when I was with my ex, we were just together so long that I never was at a point where I was really looking for a husband. It was just he was my boyfriend for so long and then became my husband. And so I don't even know how to relate or I don't even know how to be that woman that's looking for a husband or and looking for a husband, I'm sure in your 20s is different than like later in your life when you've experienced more things. I don't know, like when I got with my ex in my 20s, that I would have like wanted the same things that I would want now. So it's just such a weird place. And nowadays, like dating is just so different because okay, I remember thinking in Utah, it's small lake city, everyone knows each other. There's no way I could even date here. Like when anyone I dated would know someone that I know, and it would just not be the vibe for me. So I didn't even really consider dating in Utah because it was just not on my thought radar. But then coming to Nashville, it's like, no, this is actually a small city too. And everyone does know each other out here too. And so now I'm in that same boat where, and what's really hard for me is that it almost takes you back to like, if I was out in that dating pool, it's like everyone you knew, like everyone you went to high school with, they like all dated each other at some point. And I don't love that. It's just weird for me. And I know it's the reality. It just is what it is, but it feels weird. And I just have to accept that that's a likelihood now that you'll meet someone and they like have dated someone you know. All of these things just not it for me. It feels so weird. And I don't really love it. So it's made it very easy for me to not want to participate or try to make anything serious with anyone. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this. I hope. But sometimes I don't know if we want to be in a relationship for maybe a couple of reasons that aren't the best. One, because we feel like society feels like we should. And two is because we're alone and we're not comfortable with loneliness. And I don't know if those two reasons are the best to pick to be with someone, but I think there's like this third reason where I'm trying to be in, and because I'm still a hopeless romantic and I do love, is that you're so happy in your own self and you don't really care if you are or you're not in a relationship, but you're just in such a good, happy place and you love who you are and you love yourself and your life and you want to share that happiness with someone because you have a lot of love to give and you're just really excited about life and would love to do it with someone else. So I hope that third space is like where I am because the other two doesn't appeal to me. I think if you're not healed, I mean, I don't know that you're ever fully healed, but if you're not like healed enough, then it just always becomes a challenge to be in a relationship with someone. But I think if you're healed enough to be in a good space, to be a good partner, and you're ready to kind of share your life and your experiences with each other, maybe that's the time that you date. But being out here now, singles in these streets or whatever they call it, I just feel like I don't know what if anyone knows what they want. They're just kind of like out here. And it feels like, does the old idea of love exist anymore? Like, I guess I'd have to date more to know, but it seems like everyone likes the idea of love and being in love and being with one person. But as soon as anything gets hard, and this is what I'm hearing from men and women that I'm friends with, it's kind of like on to the next. And I don't know if it's always been like that and I didn't know it because I had a relationship for so long, or if it's like been even more intensified given social media and dating apps and everything. And so it makes me so fearful as much as I know in my heart of hearts is what's meant for you won't leave you. So if there's someone out there that's meant for me, no dating app is going to drag him to not be with me and see how Veronica's doing. Like he'll just stick around. And if he wants to see how Veronica's doing, he wasn't for me and we're all moving on. And I wish more people kind of had that mindset, especially these amazing women that I talk to that are like getting a little hard on themselves about like, he doesn't like me. I thought he liked me, but he doesn't. But it's like, let's move on because I don't know if he's for you because you're amazing. And if for some reason you don't feel enough for this person that you don't even know, it's kind of like if they don't really know you and you don't really know them, like, let's just move on. It's not personal. And a lot of people are telling me, though, they're like asking questions like a job interview afterwards. And this is me kind of sharing just something that I was reflecting back, like thinking it was wild. And maybe this is what everyone does. But I obviously, working in corporate America, have interviewed a number of people. And I know that asking for feedback after an interview is a thing. Like, you didn't get the job. Can you tell me what I could do better? But people are doing this in the dating world. And I'm just kind of taken back because I don't really understand it because it seems like ah like what what are you doing with that feedback? Like, what? I don't know. Dating, we're doing that. I guess like if it could be helpful, but I I can't really imagine that I say to a guy, "Hey, you didn't wanna date me anymore. What's the feedback?" And then what does he say? Like, "You I don't know." And then I'm just gonna change who I am because this one guy didn't like that? Like, I kinda feel like the person that's meant for you will like the things that maybe John didn't like about you, you know? And if it's honest feedback, meaning like if you were like a train wreck and you were like cussing at the wait staff or something, and you're still clueless enough that you need John's feedback for that, I kind of feel like that's where the healing part comes in first. Like you need to get in a better place. But I think if someone is just not like the conversation's not flowing. Uh, I guess if John said, "Hey, you're kind of boring to talk to," and then you try to be less boring, but I feel like for the right person for you, you wouldn't be boring. So, I don't know, it's just a weird idea that I'm hearing that people do, and now I hear, like, people are probably listening being like, "What?" So these are just thoughts from someone that's coming into this new world of being single and trying to figure out why people are thinking the way they do about dating and how I'm supposed to think about it. Because for me, I just want to bring myself and be super authentic. And I had told this to high school Morgan Wallen guy from the previous episode after we're talking on the phone and I'm packing to move to Nashville. And he asked me, like, so what are you going to jump back in and date someone right when you get out there? I'm sure, like some cowboy, which little does he know, there's really no cowboys out here in Nashville. But besides the point, and I say, what I think I want is I just want to meet someone that I just want to be around, that I just enjoy hanging out with so much that I just always want to be around him a lot. And I just want to keep doing that until I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm not saying that I don't want some sort of like loyalty and title eventually, but I don't want it to be like, why can I feel like I can already sense people shaking their heads, and especially girls like, you're dreaming, that doesn't exist. But in my delusional reality, that will exist for me because I believe that can. And I believe that if sometimes we just think all people suck, that men stink and women are crazy. And I'm actually hearing this from people telling me about their dating experiences. It's like, if you think women are crazy, you're going to get the crazy women. If you think men stink, you're going to get those men that stink. But if you're like, I'm just here for whatever, and I'm going to give and bring the best of me and the best energy, and I'm going to receive the best of someone else, I think that happens. Is everyone you meet or date going to be like your person? No, no, it's just not possible. But there's critical pieces to your life. And I sometimes don't think it's about asking them for feedback that helps you grow. I think just your self-reflection on that experience and that interaction with that person. What did I learn that I liked it about this person? Don't think it about why they might not have liked you. It's like, did you even like them? Like, what did you like about them? What about the interaction made you feel something? And what about it made you feel something you don't want? Like, those are good self reflections. I think that's the biggest thing I'm learning is that people are getting hung up on why people didn't like them. I'm learning this. And it's kind of like, did you even like them? Like, we can't be down ourselves. We're not going to be liked by everyone. It's just a part of life. So, all that to say is being single and having single friends again feels like you're kind of like going back in time because you're going out and there's this thought like, oh, is there cute guys here? Like, it's just different. There's different reasons why you're doing things than there was when I was married. Like with my married friends, we weren't like when me and the girls were going out, we were never thinking like, is there going to be good looking guys here? And I still don't even care about that. But if they're there and they find us, great. But I realize going out with single women, it's kind of like, where can we be to meet the kind of men that we want to meet? And it's just so different for me to like to be in that world. So I don't know if it would have been easier if I would have just tried to quickly get in a relationship after my divorce, because then I wouldn't be in this weird limbo of like, what is going on and how do I do single life? I'd just be able to move from one relationship to the next. But I kind of think it's a necessary adventure for me to have this time. I think it's As weird as it seems, it's kind of fun. It's obviously different. I get to be a little messy. I'm learning so much, and I'll probably be a little messy forever because I'm never going to be perfect. I'm finally willing to admit that. But I also see myself in this time that I've been on my own. I have been doing things to keep myself safe, meaning like not too invested in someone. And I don't know, maybe I've been spending some time with men that are younger than me where I feel like I don't feel as much pressure to have a relationship or at least a serious relationship with. I know that sounds really strange to say out loud, actually, but it's a little easier for me. But they're finding me, okay? I'm not intentionally doing that, I swear. I don't. But it does make it a lot easier and a lot less pressure. It's just fun. So, I don't even know if I can say this. So, during all of this time, I've been in this for the plot moment. That's my life now. So, there's a drastic okay, so they're talking women are talking about this, and there's this drastic thing where you could date the son or the dad. I don't know why that's a thing, but it's true. So, you're in this place where I told you, I'm not on the apps, but let's just get into it. Okay, we're just ripping off the Band-Aid. We're getting into this story. So, I'm still just meeting people in the wild. One night, I'm walking from Red Door back to Losers. This is Midtown in Nashville. There's this guy getting street meat in the road, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, he's cute, whatever. He like waves me over. We walk to each other, and we start talking, and I'm like, "Hey," and whatever. And he kind of has this like a little bit of like a country accent, and I was like, "Oh, where are you from?" And he was like, "Hermitage," which is like outside of Nashville. And I was like, "Oh, well, I've never like seen you in Midtown before." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't really go to Midtown. I usually go to Broadway," which isn't not something that locals, like, in Nashville would normally be saying they go to Broadway. So I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Oh, well, I just turned 21." And I was like, "What? Oh my gosh." So I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I had been drinking that night. That's why I'm going from Red Door to Losers. And he was like, "Well, can I get your number?" And I was like, immediate, like, for the plot, whatever, who knows? So I give him my number, don't think anything of it. And I give him my number, and it was right after the tornado came through, and it was really close to my house. So I hadn't been home yet. And I was telling him about it. And he texted me the next day and was like, "Hope everything's good with your house. Let me know when I can take you out this week. What days work for you?" And so I just kind of go with it, and we're texting, and he's like, "Okay, what kind of food do you want? Like, what kind of restaurant?" He's doing the whole thing, and I'm just like, "We'll just see where this goes." So we keep the conversation going, and next thing you know, we're going on a date. He decides to plan it. So we're going to dinner. We have a date planned. And I remember on my way there, I was like, what am I doing? I like pulled over. What am I doing? But then I'm like, life's not that serious. This isn't really that big of a deal. You're just going. It's just like any other time. You could be sitting at the bar and you start talking to someone that's 21. What's the difference? Doesn't matter. So we go on this date, we go have Mexican food, and it's so fun, have a great time. And this is in December. So then we go see the Christmas lights. And then we end up just talking for hours. And he's like the sweetest. He's so cute. Such a sweet guy. Like, absolutely loved it. And I was getting ready to go back to Utah at the time. So he was like, he texted me after the day. I had such a great time. I'd love to see you again when you get back from Utah. He was literally the cutest thing. And when I got back, long story short, we were texting throughout, and he asked me to go to Putt Shack he asked me on a Thursday to go out on a Thursday, and I didn't write him back till the following Sunday. So I think he knew because I had thought to myself, like, where is this going? He was cute as can be, but where was this going? Obviously, he needed a lot more time to be out on Broadway without me in his life. Like, do you? But then fast forward to a few months later, I'm out watching the Super Bowl in Henderson, where I live, and I'm a diehard 49ers fan. And I'm watching the game, and there's this super, I'll call him annoying. In this moment, he was Chiefs fan, like going off about the game. So him and I are kind of bantering back and forth from across the restaurant or whatever throughout the game, just cheering loudly for our teams. And we've all seen the Super Bowl, the 49ers lose. So I'm kind of bummed and devastated at this point. And not that I would have thought Taylor Swift's team would have lost, but either way, it was just one of those things. So after the loss, I'm sitting there at the bar and he comes over and I'm like, no. And he is like, I know, tough loss. Let me buy you a shot. So he buys us a couple shots of tequila. We end up talking. He's actually just really cool and like confident, and I'm feeling it. Then he ends up paying my tab, which he didn't even sit with me the whole time. So that was super kind. And then he's like, when can I take you out this week? Now, this guy, polar opposite, was 42. So in my head, I'm like, my last date was with a 21-year-old in December. Now it's February, and I'm agreeing to go out with this man that's 42. And so, anyways, he ends up texting me. We plan a date. And kid you not, this is how messy I am. And this is like maybe a side note story of like, I just rarely have it together. So I'm late for the date. I'm literally sitting on the couch every time before a date. I think just the word date like makes it so much more than it needs to be for me. Like I just get in my head and I just get thrown off because I can literally talk to complete strangers anywhere I go, anywhere. I randomly meet people all the time. But when I'm preparing for a date, it feels like this whole other realm of life. Wow, I'm going on a date. And it's like, I don't know if it's the expectation that it's supposed to turn into something romantic or a relationship. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm still working through this. But so I'm sitting there. I don't even want to get ready for this date, but I finally do. So I'm going to be late and I text him. Oh, yeah. He had asked to pick me up, side note. And I decided, no, I should drive. I don't know if I should let him know where I live. So that plays into this whole thing. So I'm finally texting him. I'm going to be 10 minutes late and I'm pulling out of my driveway. And as I'm pulling out, I'm distracted, texting my friend. And, uh, and I'm not looking, and my driveway has this like ditch. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like concrete, and then on both sides it's ditch of like grass. I end up backing my car into the ditch and it's stuck. Like it's raining, it's dark, and now my car is stuck. It won't move. So it's so what? So I call him after I just texted him and said I'm going to be 10 minutes late, and I said, "Hey, look, I just got my car stuck in my driveway in the ditch. I'm not going to be able to come." He was like, "Okay, I thought you were going to cancel on me, but what's your address? I'll come get you. It sounds like you need a drink." So then he ends up seeing where I live anyways and sees my car. And I was like, I'll call AAA, but not right now. Like, I'm just over it. So we end up going on this date. Either way, have a great time. And I don't know if I'm like feeling it. But for whatever reason, with the older guy, I feel like I should try to give it more of a chance. And I don't even know why. These are just the advice that I'm hearing from my friends because I have all these single friends now because they go on dates like I'm not kidding you. They have to be experts because some of these girls that I'm friends with go on dates like 3 4 times a week. Like, I could never. I'm like, here I am on a first date after my last date was in December. Now it's February, and I don't even know what I'm doing. So I'm just asking them, like, what do I do now? I don't know if I like him. And after the date, he had already asked me on a second date. So it's like, do I go? I mean, I didn't hate it. I liked it. He was cool, but I don't know what I even want. Is it rude to say yes? Is it rude to say no? Like, I don't know. Are there rules? Like, who's deciding? I, I don't know. And okay, so here I am just hoping that they can tell me what to do. So they're like, yeah, give him another chance. You don't know. Sometimes the first time it's weird and the second time it's great. So since he'd already asked me on the second date, I was like, okay, let's go on this second date. So we end up going on a second and it was fine too. But I was still like unsure. But I went on a third and it wasn't him. It wasn't him. He was super kind and fun and nice. I just don't know if, and I told him this on the second date, that it just seems like a lot for me to do all those things, to think about being in a relationship again. And I think on the third date, it was just clear for me I'm not ready. And I don't know. Here's a Here's a question I wish I could ask to y'all or just anyone that's listening. But like, do you just know from the person, or is it like when you're ready? Or is it a mix of both? I guess that's the exciting adventure of life and this new experience again, because I absolutely do not know. My first question to start this episode: I don't want to be alone forever. And I think society's like telling you, if you don't find someone soon, aren't you afraid that you're going to die alone? And there's some clock ticking where, like, if I don't within the next 6 months, will I be single so long I won't know how to be in a relationship again? There's so many thoughts that run through my mind, but I trust that everything works out for me and it works out as it should. But I get that especially women have this pressure to like hurry up and find someone. And I don't want that pressure to dictate my decisions, because I think a lot of decisions I made in my younger years were partly because of that external pressure. And I think we're just happiest when we make decisions for us. But it's a real thing to feel that pressure. But what I will say, when we love ourselves and we're so happy with who we are and where we're at, the noise of everyone else's opinions or society's perspectives of where we should be in life are so much less impactful in our lives, because we're just so confident in what we're doing and who we are. So I'm leaving all this out there on the table to say, I'm just trying everything. And I'm just this kid on Christmas who has all these new gifts that I'm unwrapping that I've never seen before. I've never done this before. Like, oh my gosh, let me see this new shiny thing and this. Let me ask you about this. How does this work? How does that work? Like, I have so many thoughts about things I've never had to think about before. It's like a whole new world has opened up, and I'm just here for the ride. I'm just here to have all of the adventures and learn from all the people I meet. And as cringy as it may be, like, to think like, what is this girl doing? Like, she's a grown woman. She should just not be all over the place. I'm kind of like, who decides what we should be? I don't know. But I know it's not Karen on the internet to tell me, or Joe down the street. It's just us. We figure it out for ourselves. And as long as we're making decisions that make us happy and don't hurt anyone else, I think we should just roll with it and see where they go. So I'll end this by saying that obviously I'm messy. And side note, I've been sending this link out via text to a lot of people I've met during the last year. during this whole mess. And surprisingly, a lot of people are responding or listening to the podcast through the text. So thank you, every single one of you. And I know there's a purpose for every single person that's listening or that's been in my life during this time that was messy. So I just want to say, I hope you feel better after this episode ends about just being you and not having it all figured out, because that's what I really want us all to know, is that nobody dictates how accomplished you are but you. It's really a perspective. Success is a mindset and how you perceive it, and everyone has a different view of that. So for me, success is just taking on this new world and trying to navigate it the best I can with the best attitude and leaving the best impression with the people I like meet along the way. And yeah, just letting it be what it is. So maybe one day I might be kind of an expert at like this thing. Okay, I don't think anyone could ever be an expert. There's not an expert on life. That's just not the case. But I need to just tell you that if you're listening, we're figuring this out together. I hope you feel less alone. This is just our time to figure out life. And I appreciate you so much for being here for this episode of Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan. So go feel a little less messy in your own day today.